My name is Kevin Okari. I go by the brand name MC Okari. I am a firstborn in a family of 4. I have one sister who follows me, and then there are 2 boys. And I am basically the guy who is the loudest in the family. And I am the biggest in the family, the most loud in the family, and probably the most known. The story of my life is from the moment I was born. I was a firstborn to a very humble family, and I was born with a cleft lip. That time it was strange. It was actually taboo to see a child born with a deformity. And the family that was not able to cater for its basic needs had an opportunity to take me for corrective surgery for that cleft lip. And from that moment, I think they were assured that I was going to give a smile to the world. And that smile was made from that moment they took me through the surgery. So when I live today, I live with the mentality that there was once what I'm enjoying now, a prayer request. That gives me the contentment that the prayer requests I'm making now, I will be able to enjoy them in future. And as I grew, one thing became a common denominator: the ability to just speak to God to sort me. I am a person who is trying at all times to be all-rounded. I play football. I don't look like one, but I do. And this is where we have a team called Vitambi FC. And this team is amazing. You get to enjoy playing with gentlemen of around 25 to around 45. Just people who are not at their prime in football, but they are having a time to keep fit and grow. This team started in 2020, and since then it has been a good improvement and activities. Maybe I'll get to take you to the field and you get to experience me on that side. With the experience that I get outside and in the corporate world, I'm able to do things that people don't expect MCs to do. Manage crises and situations. And because I have learned to believe this is God-given, I take all possible steps to serve in the ministry. And by virtue of being an MC, I get to also pass the word of God in conversation with the members.
And indeed, we want to appreciate you who has joined us from any of our platforms.
When Hope Channel invited me for the Hope for Africa, I thought it was the normal things that I do. I come, I greet people, invite people to give feedback, share the social media platforms, and then I am able to link the program here and there and wind it up in style. So on the first day of the opening ceremony of Hope for Africa, the excitements were quite high. The audience was big, and the sanguine in me was tuned to start now making sure that the audience is hot and excited. And so I got to learn with some tuning here and there, being told, avoid this one, do this. Eventually, by the time it got to day 4, 5, I was flowing. Then the rest of the days, I got a very understanding employer. I explained to them and told them this is what the church has requested me to do. On a daily basis, I'll be leaving at this time. I'll be going for around 4-5 hours, but I will be back after the program so that I'm able to compensate for the time. If I leave at 3:30, that means I still have 1 hour, 30 minutes of my employer. So once the program ended at 8, I will be in the office by 8:15 for an extra 1 hour, 30 minutes, just to cover for the employer's time. And then after that 1 hour, 30 minutes, I would come home to prepare for the next day. And I had to have 2 sets of clothing. The one that I will be wearing at work up to 3:30, and then the one that I will wear in the program in the evening. Serious times, but great blessings out of it. Surprisingly, again, before I went for Hope for Africa, my dad suffered a stroke that hit the entire left section of his body. And he could not walk, he could not move as much, and his speech was slurred. I was from dealing with my mom having high blood pressure and sugar around the same period. And even with all those things happening, I knew that God was handling it for me. So when I got the call up to come and serve, I'm like, God's work, I'm in. All those things, I know He will still handle them either way.
For Jesus says this gospel of the kingdom
Hope for Africa went on for the number of days. There were a lot of ups and downs. I was ready for the finale. On that beautiful morning, I woke up ready, fired up, and I parked the car nicely. And when I parked the car, I left the clothing for the afternoon in the car because I knew I would still access it anytime. The afternoon was going to be hot because there were choirs around, and now the program was in a way that I would come in on several occasions after music to just bring a gist. I was now going to be at my natural form. I was set. Lunchtime, I decided to do a change of clothes. And when I had done the change of clothes at lunchtime, that's when my car had an accident. A serious accident. Good thing I was not injured, I was all good. But the car accident was bad, to a point that I had to call a friend to go and deal with it as I was going to do the afternoon program. And so as the countdown went on, and I could see the countdown from 59 seconds, 58, all the way to 3, 2, 1. I was ready not to think about that car that was still at the accident scene, not to think about what was happening at that time, because I knew God was dealing with it. I went there with one purpose. I had come for the finale. I had not woken up in the morning to deal with a car accident. I had woken up to finish Hope for Africa in style. And so when everything came as a distraction, my biggest focus was finish in style, then deal with the car later. So as I took the floor, and the moment it hit go, I was like, hello and welcome to the afternoon finale of the Hope for Africa Net event that has been coming to you live from the New Life SDA Church, 5th Ngong Avenue, Nairobi, Kenya. We are so happy to welcome you, and the smile could be seen. But deep inside, I knew my car was still at a scene of an accident, unaware of what was happening. So as I took the first break, I went to the back room and called the friend I had told to check on the car and confirm what was happening. And then I would come back again with a big smile, link up the choirs, and do the program. That moment was, I think, a trying moment, because as I was going in after the accident, I was shaken. But one thing I walked into the podium with is the assurance that God was in control. Because this is God's work that you're doing. Trust Him to sort yours. And as I speak today, He sorted me big time, big time. What appeared as a loss at that time became a blessing in disguise, because that car had been a mess before the Hope for Africa. It no longer is a mess out of that moment. I was very keen on the numbers of baptisms that we had after the Hope for Africa Net event. I wanted to see whether it was actually worth it putting in all that work in the vineyard. And I was excited when I got to see the number of people who got baptized. They lived up to the billing of there is actually hope for Africa. And the fact that we were able to reach quite a number all over the world just through the media shows a transition from the crusades that we would have, but media evangelism has done an exceptional role. I would want to leave a legacy of a person who came from a humble beginning, shaped life and lives of people, grew financially, physically, and socially, while at the confines of what is godly. And before this word reaches to all people in the world, then we will not have done it. And how do we get there? Through media evangelism. And that net event that we had at the Hope for Africa was a good step to show that it is actually doable, it is possible, and it's achievable. I can't wait for the next one. I hope it's soon.